Hope is on the way. Hope is coming. Opportunity is around the corner. I will fight hard for you each and every day. Hope is on the way.
I'm Kathleen Wynne, and I stand behind this message. I got into politics to fight for education when Mike Harris was cutting it back. The greatest investment we can make in how we move forward as a province is in helping more people access education. My budget guarantees a 30% off post-secondary tuition grant and expands full-day kindergarten. Tim Hudak has promised to cut both and teachers' jobs immediately. I'm for building Ontario and our people up. That's what leadership is.
Tim Hudak wants to go to war with working people. He's aiming to drive down workers' wages, slash billions from our health care, and fire 100,000 public sector employees, including more than 10,000 teachers and education workers. If that sounds familiar, it's because Tim Hudak was the protege of Mike Harris. Vote Tim Hudak and you get the same chaos that Mike Harris gave you all over again.
I'm Kathleen Wynne, and I stand behind this message.
Tim Hudak says he has a million jobs plan. Let's take a closer look at Hudak math. For most, one job held for 8 years equals one job. Tim Hudak counts it as 8 different jobs. Economists are unanimous, calling it an elementary school math error, laughable and utter nonsense. Still, Hudak won't admit his mistake. This isn't just about bad math for Tim Hudak. It's about leadership.
I'm Kathleen Wynne, and I stand behind this message.
Tim Hudak has promised to fire 100,000 workers, including thousands of teachers, and make massive cuts to health and education. Wherever his anti-labor policies are implemented, workers' wages decline, poverty increases, there is risk of recession, and more families are forced out of the middle class. Tim Hudak's pink slip plan? Ontario deserves better than that.
I'm Kathleen Wynne, and I stand behind this message.
Most politicians tell you what they think you want to hear. I could do the same. I could tell you that our debt is nothing to worry about and we can spend more forever. I could tell you that if we do nothing, the jobs we've lost will just come back on their own. Or I could be honest with you. The truth is that 1 million people in our province woke up this morning without a job. The truth is that we're spending $1.5 million every hour that we just don't have. The truth is that we have 100,000 more bureaucrats than we did in 2009, but our hospitals are even more overcrowded. The truth is that without a realistic plan that puts your interests first, none of this is going to change. Our Million Jobs plan will take urgent action to grow the economy. We'll cut out the waste and improve public services for you. Together, we can get Ontario working better.
Kathleen Wynne has expressed regret over the gas plants 32 times, apologized 19 times, said sorry 17 times, and accepted responsibility 45 times.
I've apologized. I've taken responsibility for those decisions. I've taken responsibility for that. I've apologized before and I've apologized again tonight.
But Premier, apologizing for scandals means nothing if you just turn around and do it again. 8 months later, 11 years, dozens of scandals, billions wasted. We can't trust Kathleen Wynne. The Premier said she learned her lesson from the McGuinty-Wynne gas plant scandal and promised this would never happen again.
And I have said that I take responsibility to make sure that this never happens again.
Whoops. Now, confidential cabinet documents reveal that Kathleen Wynne approved a secret $317 million bailout to avoid another embarrassing Liberal scandal. Why did Kathleen Wynne keep this secret? Why does she say one thing and do another when she thinks she won't get caught? The Ontario Liberals spending your money on their interests again.
The McGuinty-Wynne Liberals wasted $1 billion cancelling gas plants to save their jobs. Tim Hudak will stop waste, putting tax dollars to the things that matter to you. Liberal mistakes cost Ontario 300,000 manufacturing jobs. Tim Hudak's plan will lower taxes and create jobs. Under the Liberals, government is bigger and you get less. Tim Hudak will trim fat from bloated government to invest in your services. Tim Hudak's plan will create 1 million new jobs. Let's get Ontario working better.
Kathleen Wynne claims she'll balance the budget, but why won't she tell us how she'll do it? After being pressured by reporters on whether her plan included laying off public sector workers, she said, "There is no yes or no answer." Excuse me? There's no yes or no answer? OPSU union boss Smokey Thomas says there are 60,000 government workers too many. Does Kathleen agree? Is her number higher or lower? The truth isn't complicated, Kathleen. The people of Ontario deserve a yes or no answer. It's time to come clean.
When you've been in power for 10 long years.
When the Premier's office is being searched by the OPP.
When the Liberals are facing allegations of corruption.
When scandals suck up billions of our tax dollars.
When people's hard-earned dollars are wasted on speedboats and luxury cars.
When hydro CEOs are making outrageous bonuses and huge salaries.
When Liberals promise to hike hydro rates by 43%.
Liberals are hoping that people will forget about all the scandal and corruption.
Don't let them get away with it. Put the Liberals in the penalty box. On June 12th, vote for Andrea Horwath's NDP. In Oshawa, it's a two-way race between Andrea Horwath's NDP and Hudak's Conservatives. So what do they stand for? Andrea's NDP will save you money on auto insurance and hydro. Hudak will fire 100,000 people. Andrea's NDP will create jobs, cut small business taxes. Hudak will fire 100,000 people. Andrea's NDP will reduce hospital ER wait times. Hudak will fire 100,000 people. Hudak doesn't make sense. In Oshawa, stop Tim Hudak by voting for Andrea's NDP. You can trust Andrea to clean up corruption, create jobs, and make life more affordable.
Tim Hudak says he'll fire 100,000 public sector workers, 100,000 jobs gone. The bulk in education, health, and social services. The Globe and Mail calls it radical and rash, while Hudak still hands out new tax breaks for corporations. We can't trust Tim Hudak and Ontario PCs with our future. Tim Hudak and Ontario PCs misleading voters again. Their 1 million jobs plan called a clumsy attempt to manipulate voters with numbers based on voodoo math. Voters have no reason to believe any of this because they are just selling pixie dust. We can't trust Tim Hudak and the Ontario PCs with our future.
Tim Hudak and Ontario PCs. Women should think of them as the old boys club. They want more corporate tax cuts for their friends, paid for by destroying organizations that fight for gender equality. They'll cut full-day kindergarten and pass legislation that will mean more work for less pay, something women have already done long enough. Tell Tim Hudak and Ontario PCs women are more important than the old boys club.
Tim Hudak will say anything to get elected. He says he'll protect working people, children, and seniors. But Hudak knows his plan hands out tax breaks to wealthy corporations. Tim Hudak says Ontario PCs have a jobs plan, but Hudak knows his plan cuts 100,000 jobs. He even admitted it himself. We can't trust Tim Hudak and the Ontario PCs with our future.
We're the OPP, and we're here to keep you safe. Tim Hudak says he'll rip up contracts, leading to labor strife and expensive litigation.
I'm here today to call upon you to make that sacrifice one more time.
Every day, we work hard for you. Who's Tim Hudak working for?
Here's the ad. Take a look.
We work hard every day. We risk our lives. Tim Hudak says he's a friend, but Tim wants to cancel our contract, cut our pay, and cut pensions for new hires.
That also means we need to look at our pension system.
We're the OPP, and we're here for you. Who's Tim Hudak here for?
I find it incredulous that they've put this ad out. The optics to me are terrible, David, because look, we're under 2 provincial criminal investigations by the OPP. And okay, while this is the union saying this, how on earth is this not a conflict of interest?
Well, absolutely it is, Alex. And let's make it a third criminal investigation, shall we? Forget about the optics and the fact that this stinks to high hell. From what I can tell from the Ontario Police Services Act, this is illegal. And by the way, forgive the Freudian slip, because apparently the OPP Association made the same slip when they launched these ads. They said this is why the OPP opposes Hudak when they meant the Ontario Provincial Police Association. Big difference.
Absolutely, it does call into question just the entire validity of state authority in our government, particularly the sort of necessary checks and balances that are required for law enforcement to hold the politicians to account. So I think absolutely, if Mr. Hudak gets into office, and hopefully he will, he has a very good case to be made that, these ongoing investigations deserve to be outsourced to a different party, because the OPP, by just the very nature, even if there is a separation between its union and the official and the the police force itself, well, what is the union made of if not the individual police officers who are doing the investigation?
Okay, but that ad was originally taken down to include one small change you heard. Here's how the original version began.
We're the OPP, and we're here to keep you safe.
Did you catch that? The ad originally began with "We're the OPP," but then they changed it, "We're the OPPA." Good to know, because if that was a political ad from the OPP, geez, that would push Ontario in an eerie direction. That was armed men and women who have the discretion to take you in are telling you you might not want to vote for Hudak via their union messaging. Think about that. Think about the whole environment it creates. You see, it puts a chill on police neutrality in the political arena. Many third world countries know all too well what happens when the police and the military get a little bit too political.
But there's something else, Anthony. These guys wear guns. They're in small towns all over Ontario. So what am I going to do if I like the PC candidate? I'm out there hammering my sign in front of my house, and the OPP car drives by and slows down and looks at me. That's going to be intimidating to me.